Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to change the world one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing goddesses of a new book that we have coming out, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Goddesses. I've been waiting for this one. This is going to be such a great conversation today with these author experts who are here to really share all of their inspiration and wisdom and tools in this book, like practical things you can put into place. Before we start this party, let me just say a huge thank you to Anna Pereira, the founder of the Wellness Universe. Anna, we love you. We could not be here without you and your love and support and guidance through this goddess book and all of the books in the series. The community that we have built has been spectacular, powerful, profound. And again, we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much for getting this group of stellar human beings together for this project. And speaking of stellar human beings, today I have with me Carolyn McGee. She's a Sacred Haven living guide who specializes in amplifying your intuitive superpower to listen to, trust, and follow your soul's path to living the most joyful, healthy, connected, abundant, and purposeful life. Carrie Hopkins Doubts is a spiritual resilience coach, helping men and women take absolute ownership of their power to create their best life when faced with difficult life transitions like divorce, death of a loved one, health, and career changes. Dr. Patty Talbot is founder of Blue Roads Education Group, where they cultivate homegrown change makers. And Rochelle Marie Lawson is the president of Blissful Living for You, where she unblocks your bliss by balancing the pillars of wellness, wisdom, and wealth so that you step into living the life of your dreams. Y'all should give me a trophy for reading those alliterations in your bios, like all the P words and the B words together. Like, y'all are so funny. I love that so much. You know, the poet in me loves that, right? Okay. So, Carolyn, let's start this party with you. Tell me about the amazing chapter that you wrote.
I would love to. So my chapter is about using voice dialogue, which is when you tap into those aspects of ourselves, the inner critic, the saboteur, the voice of resistance, and utilizing that energy, making friends with it and allowing it to mature so that we can really own our battle goddess of compassion. And for me, the battle goddess of compassion is the Wonder Woman that lives inside of all of us. We each have that might for right aspect that is powerful, yet soft. You know, she allows us to own the divine feminine, but doesn't put up with any bullshit.
Battle goddess of compassion. Okay, so like when I was reading that the first couple of times, I was like, yes, you knew I would love that one. I know. But you put words together, right? That are interesting, combination of words together. Goddess of compassion. I want to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, happy to. So we all have aspects of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So this is really stepping into the divine feminine aspect that is powerful. You know, a lot of times we think of softness, you know, the Virgin Mary, if you happen to, you know, be Christian, and there's that all-encompassing, loving mother to all energy. Well, an aspect of that is also the battle goddess. It's the I love my children so much that no one can ever hurt them. So there's the compassion, there's the lovingness, there's the caring, there's the every sentient being is my being and I love all. But there's also the mama bear stuff, and you know, you don't mess with my kids, and everyone is my child. So that's it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. If you guys see me like looking down and scribbling furiously, it's because I am. Okay. You don't mess with my kids, and you all are my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this all-encompassing power of unconditional love and that protection.
I like the combo.
Yeah.
It's a pretty profound combo. Several authors have talked about this balance, and I want to help people understand what would you say about recognizing that there's an imbalance? How do you help people to do that?
So with the imbalance is you can actually feel it in your body. Like you might feel top heavy if you've got too much of that masculine producing energy. You may feel like your heart is closed because you're not balancing your energy from the divine feminine, which lives down in the middle of the earth, to the masculine, which is that star of inspiration above us. So if you are finding yourself in your head too much, whether you are meditating too much and not taking action, or using your logic too much and not allowing spirit to come in, that's another indicator that you don't have balance.
I love the term top heavy, because it's another way to think about top heavy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Carrie, tell me about your amazing chapter.
Well, I'd be happy to. It's chapter 11. It's called Suddenly Single: How to Become Me After Becoming a We for So Long. And this is, I think, an issue that many women face. We go through divorces, we go through bereavement, loss of a spouse. I just lost my spouse 7 months ago, so I am living this chapter right now. And, inadvertently, somebody asks you a question and you answer, "Oh, we love it in this neighborhood." And then you go, you get that little punch in the gut. It's just like, and you just kind of answer, sheepishly, you just go, "Well, no, it's just me now." And you can just feel the energy draining out of your center. And so I wanted to address that in my chapter. And so you're not thinking it's just me. It's really how to become your best me, your most radiant, authentic, true version of yourself, even though you're no longer a we now. So it's not even just repatterning your language, it's repatterning your thinking and the way that you view yourself in the world.
I believe some people probably have more of a struggle with this than others, depending on what they were conditioned to think made you whole as you grew up or whatever. What else do you want to say about that?
Well, yeah, in my generation, it was you're going to grow up and you're going to get married and you're going to have children, and you are defined by those roles. And I think women these days, maybe not so much as women of my generation and just before it. And it's not only that, it is just that we see ourselves as on that trajectory. And if we're off of it, we feel that society sort of marginalizes us. We're not part of a couple anymore. We've lost that status, if you will, and sometimes we feel that and sometimes we don't. Sometimes, especially in a long-term marriage, a lot of my clients feel this. If they've been married, I work with women who have been married 40, 50 years. And it is really difficult to see themselves as a single individual when they've done life in partnership with someone else for so long.
And what a beautiful transformation you offer for somebody who's willing, of course, and open to what that journey might look like at that point. I wanted to also just say thank you for being here in this timing of your life, as you were in our last book, almost right when this was happening to you. So, here's to that. Carolyn called you the warrior, the battle. Let's say it again, Carolyn. The
battle goddess of compassion.
Yes. So like I think Carrie is like this for so many reasons. But
Thank you for that.
But it takes something to be able to be present enough while you're experiencing the grief.
Well, my training, I've been coaching around grief and major life transitions for over 10 years now. And so I know the territory, right? But now I'm walking it. And so it brings it way more personal. I can really feel into what my clients are dealing with now. So it is just kind of part of my ongoing training as a coach, as a compassionate human being, or compassionate battle goddess of whatever that was. I just love it. I'm going to write that down and live into that a little bit, because we need that. We all need that when we're hurting, when we're going through something that has turned our lives upside down, and we just need a supportive, compassionate listener to come alongside us and say, this is not who you are. You know, you're not going to be grieving forever. You're not going to feel broken forever. That me is still intact in there. And we're going to help you discover, connect with, and activate that me again, and live for a life of wholeness.
Thank you, Carrie. Dr. Patty Talbot, tell me about your amazing chapter.
Yes, I'd love to. My chapter is chapter 5, and it's titled The Legacy Journal, Story Keeping for the Ones You Love. And I kind of take the role of elder goddess in my chapter, thinking about myself as a grandmother and other people who have served as elder goddesses to me, as story keepers and story makers and memory keepers for me in my life. And so I try to weave a story that brings together little moments from my grandchildren's lives and makes them into memories that really help them to connect the dots of their own lives, so that they can celebrate moments both in my presence, of course, and with others. So I offer a little legacy journal. I have a hard copy of it here, but people can actually download a downloadable copy from my Wellness Universe site and keep stories for their grandchildren or their adopted neighbors, whomever. You don't have to be a grandparent to do this. But I based my framework for story keeping on an author, a storyteller that I just love by the name of Matthew Dix, who prescribes a daily practice he calls homework for life. And his prescription is that every day at the end of the day, it's worth doing to take just 5 minutes and jot the most story-worthy moment out of your day for possible revisiting, for possible unpacking to see, is there any meaning there? Is there anything worth holding on to? And so I've done a little twist on that and related it not necessarily to my own stories, even though I try to do that too, but just those special, precious moments with people that I love, that I notice and later ponder at the end of the day to think, wow, that was something that happened there that I want to remember. And if I just jot it down later, maybe I'll figure out what the meaning of that moment was. And maybe it will be something worth bringing back into their lives at bedtime, story time, or birthdays, or weddings, or even funerals later in life. That it's worth doing to take those moments and hold on to them and see what the meaning is there. So that's my chapter.
You know, the energy of celebration is such a wonderful high vibe. And I think you give such a gift in creating a routine of celebrating. What more do you want to say about that piece of it?
Well, I think you're exactly right. It is about celebration. And sometimes it even celebrating hard moments, I think, can become worth celebrating when you dig deeply into them and think, oh, that was tough, but there's something deeper there. And I'll give an example, if I may. My my father-in-law died more than 25 years ago now in a airplane crash. And so there is a memorial to him here in my neighborhood. And whenever the grandchildren come, and they're now 7 and 5 and 3 years old, and we just kind of walk by there, there's a little gazebo in his memory and a little monument. And so we've taken to just having them run their little fingers over the words that say his name and tell a little bit about him. And so there's a T for Talbot there. And I have this memory from Jacob, who's now 7, who was 2.5 at the time, tracing his finger and saying T is for Talbot. So I take him there and I show him the little video from when he was 2 years old doing this. And it gives us the opportunity to keep his great-grandfather alive in his life and just remind him, he came from people that meant something on this earth, and he can mean something on this earth too. So it's celebrating even the difficult times in life, but also just little tiny tender moments that come up. And even at the ages they are now, they just love to rehear these stories at bedtime. And I anticipate telling them and embarrassing them on wedding day.
That's awesome. Really beautiful. Thank you, Patty. Okay, Rochelle, I can't wait to hear about your amazing chapter.
Well, my chapter is being unstoppable, how to use divine design to up-level everything. And I'm definitely that unstoppable chick. I'm trying to keep my energy somewhat subdued so I don't blow these ladies, through the roof with all this energy. As you know, Laura, it's really hard for
bring
me.
it on, girl.
Let it out.
Bring it on.
Just let it out. Okay. So my chapter is really about stepping into your greatness, turning your passion into purpose, and living the life of your dreams that we are truly meant to do. We're not here by accident. We're not here to fumble around. We all have a purpose, and some people's purpose are different than others. Some are wayward, and some are, I'm going to say, on the uptick or more positive. But we all have a purpose that we're meant to share and fulfill on our journey here on our path to bliss. So because I am that bad, brave, bold, unstoppable chick, and I've had to be that all my life, coming from a family of complete boys, and I'm being the only granddaughter on both sides, I had to learn some things as a child in order to do what I wanted to do if I wanted to be successful. And that's definitely navigating the world according to men, so to speak. Even though as women, we really do run things, we have to let the men kind of feel that they do, right? So my chapter is about some of the things that I have utilized in my life as my journey with starting my first business when I was 22 years old and taking that business to a top 50 women-owned business in Silicon Valley. And then my second business that I started in 2008 after having a beautiful career as not only an successful entrepreneur, but also a registered nurse and an Ayurvedic nurse practitioner specializing in emergency room medicine and trauma. And in regards to all of that, there were some very monumental lessons that I had to learn in order to realize that I had to get out of my own way. And one of the points in my chapter in the book I share is with my company, my corporation, there was a moment that was, I want to say that coming to the divine moment, so to speak, where I was actually blocking the success of my company instead of allowing the success to flow within that. And because I'm really holistic and I'm all about utilizing holistic principles, I've been doing that since I was a little girl. I really had to step back and allow the divine to be a conduit for the divine to come through me for the wisdom that I needed to do and needed to incorporate in my life so that I can be that bold, brave, and unstoppable chick and allow my business to go to the stratospheres, which it was meant to do. And so in my chapter, I share a story, and I also share a story that my kids really, my kids are way grown, way grown. They're older than me now, but because I'm 29 and they're older than that. But it was a moment that sometimes you don't even know what your children are, watching or what they listen to, but they actually tell me some information that I had shared with them and I didn't even remember sharing with them. And it was kind of this pivotal moment in my life where I realized the divine is using my children to communicate with me because I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to the messages. I wasn't listening to the things that other people were telling me. And I wasn't paying attention to the signs that I was actually stopping myself from being unstoppable instead of allowing myself to be that bad, brave, bold, unstoppable chick that I am. And so I share that story in the chapter. And I also share how I evolved into really embracing the wisdom and being that conduit and letting the divine's wisdom flow through me so that I continue on my journey, really serving those that I'm meant to serve and really stepping into owning my purpose and being passionate about it and sharing that with others. So yeah, it's divine.
It is. Oh my goodness. And to my viewers right now, like if you haven't figured out the wisdom and power in this little Zoom room that I am in, by now, I'm not sure if you will. All of you ladies are so amazing. And thank you for not just saying yes to the project, but to just step up to share the vulnerable stories. I know there's healing in the reader when they resonate, but you all are also master teachers. And when they come down into our tools section in these books, they're going to be able to experience something real in the moment, something practical that could shift their life right then. That's how powerful this is. And I thank each of you. I do it in every interview and every project. Thank you so much, for saying, yeah, I'll trailblaze this. Like, I'm going to go ahead and share that vulnerable story for you so you can really get to know who I am and where I've been, right? And how I earn that title of a teacher, a master teacher in all of your cases. So thank you so much. So Carrie, I'm going to start with you for this next question. I'm coming around to all of you with this, and it's a really simple one. What does it even mean to be a goddess?
That's such a great question, Laura. And for much of my life, I would look at other women who just exuded that divine feminine energy that Carolyn was talking about. And, I'd say, oh, there's a goddess, or I'd call them a goddess. And, it took me a while to kind of start looking in the mirror and owning my own brand of goddessness. And so what does it mean to be a goddess? It really just means owning all parts of you, embracing it all, that divine feminine, that divine masculine, also in the times where we really need that balance to be able to walk in the world, left foot and right foot. So it's really the wisdom that comes from within, from being receptive and being willing to be guided. That's what I feel for me is being a goddess.
Oh my goodness. You see me looking down and scribbling furiously, right? Okay, I have to do this. I am a lover of quotes, and you all do this so brilliantly in these interviews. Thank you. I really love that. Okay, Patty, how else, right? So all of you, it's going to be so hard to go last on this question. I know all of you are going to be like, yes to that. And now what I want you to do is add to it. What else?
Well, definitely yes to that. And I have to confess a little something here. When this call first came out about this book, I paused. I hesitated a little bit because the word goddess is not something that's been a part of my vernacular. I'm a PK, and some of you might know that means a preacher's kid. So I grew up in a Methodist parsonage, a very liberal household, actually. But calling ourselves gods and goddesses wasn't a part of my experience. So I paused for a minute, and then I started reading around and thinking, do I identify with this word? Can I speak with any kind of authenticity in such a book? And of course it unfolded as I started unpacking it and listening to wonderful, wise women like are in this room, that yes, of course I can embrace that language. I grew up learning that, the kingdom of God is within and we are made in God's image. And so it wasn't that much of a stretch once I dug into it, but it is for me that it's about letting our lights shine from our hearts and from the gifts that the divine brings into us, whatever we call the divine, source, quantum physics, whatever it is, that shining out through us is our goddess being. And so I thank you all for teaching me and giving me the opportunity to learn that new language for myself and women that I greatly respect.
This book title really did get lots of you. It wasn't just you, Patty. It was so many. And I'm finding it amusing to hear it now. Like, I didn't really hear it in the beginning, but now in the interviews, it's like, oh yeah, when this one came out, I had to pause for a minute, and like really figure that out. And a lot of the authors, it was just an instant, oh, hell yes, we're doing that one. And then for others, it was similar to you, where it's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, what do I think about that? Is that going to be a thing? So I appreciate you, saying that and sharing that. Okay, Rochelle, how about you? What does it mean to be a goddess?
Well, I'm probably one that didn't struggle with this because I've been a goddess since I was a little girl. It's kind of funny story when I was a little girl, because I am the only girl in my whole entire family. I had a nickname. They called me Princess. And I remember being like 4. And I don't know what movie I saw, what Disney movie, but I told my grandmother, I'm not a princess. I'm a goddess, because they have more power and control than my grandmother. Now that's a funny little story that I remember, but that was the type of little girl I was. I always thought that I was powerful. I thought I was strong. I was, had to be in charge of my destiny, so to speak, even as a little girl, playing with all the boys. But when I heard the title, it just was like, yeah. And I remember being on a call with you and Anna, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm all in, because I've been living that life since I was a little girl. Now, what it truly means to me is a lady that is really in control of her destiny. She has vision. She's connected to the divine. She listens to the wisdom that's bestowed upon her. She follows succinctly, but she's open to receiving as well as giving the goodness that is within her to the fullest. And that is something that I do, something that I live by. I am definitely more of a giver, and I guess the nursing part, a caretaker. I want to see everybody be as successful or more successful than me. And I'm always wanting to help people to find their true sense of purpose and their passion and bring that out to the fullest. And I think that's what goddesses do. We don't focus on ourselves so much. We focus on the whole being of us and the essence that are around us. And when you do that, it just makes the world a much, much better and brighter place. So yes to what all the other ladies said, and then bam, I'm dropping that with an exclamation point.
I love that so much. And that has also been a common theme, in that we recognize that when we take care of ourselves to all of that level that all of you have talked about so far, but that's one level of that, but then it always relates to how we can help other people do the same thing. And I love that about this group and about the community, and all of the healers and practitioners who have come into these projects. It's like, yeah, we do this. We know what it means to be a goddess. We're right there. And the mission and purpose has to do with helping. That's badass, Carolyn, how about you? I know it's hard to be last on this one, but for you, what would you add about what it means to be a goddess?
I would add that just by being born, we're all goddesses. That, each of us has that divine feminine, which is a goddess or a queen. I mean, we are sovereign individuals. We're not princesses. I'm totally with you, Rochelle, on that. We're a goddess, we're a queen. We are present to be the model for other people, to make a difference in the world. And it doesn't matter if you're in a female body or a male body, we all have the divine feminine. And we have that goddess energy of being the leader, of being authentic, of showing up as real and making a difference in the world by giving back, by caring, by nurturing, by being vulnerable, by being authentic. And that to me is what that's goddess energy. And
Yes.
also not letting anybody take advantage. That's being a goddess.
I love all the combination of everything you said and everything all of you said about that. I love to let people have a perspective of all of the different ways we can think about this. We need all the voices and all of the ways to talk about healing, of course, being a goddess. Yes, all of the topics. And the big mission here is, you know what? It's the mission, but we are waking the world up to what's possible. Yeah. And it feels really super big to me. And as I hear you all describe these things, that bigness just fills me up. So thank all of you for that. I have a next juicy question for everybody. And Patty, I'm going to start with you with this one. So healers or practitioners of awareness learn what feels aligned. And I think being in alignment is a big part of being a goddess. So for you, how do you know something is in alignment for you? How do you practice this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually have a little framework that I developed as I have my work at Blue Roads, as you mentioned earlier, is about cultivating change makers. So I've done a lot of work around trying to figure out what that means. And so in my research, I developed this little, very simple framework that focuses on 4 things. It's about beingness, it's about doingness, it's about connectedness, and it's about reflectiveness. And so I use this framework to guide my own life as well as to teach it to other people. The beingness being, who am I from the ground up? And the doingness, what am I doing in the world to make a difference? And the connectedness, especially connecting with people different from myself. And then what am I reflecting out into the world, including my divine light from the divine. And so if I'm checking in again and again with those 4 little quadrants on what I call the changemaker journey, then I'm feeling like I'm in alignment. And I think it very much just speaks to what this book is about goddesses. And so that's my framework for thinking about it. And it seems to be working for me, because whenever I'm visiting those 4 quadrants, then I'm feeling like I'm on target. I'm on point. So.
And how beautiful to have that framework. I think what I would love for everybody listening, all of the people who are on this journey with us, is to be creating your own framework. And you're going to grab little nuggets from Patty and Carrie and Carolyn and Rochelle and all of the other people around you in your inner circle. And then you get to craft your own and what that really means for you. And that's why I love asking each of you this question, because you're going to give people perspective of how it could be for them, how they're hearing things, feeling things. Okay, so Rochelle, for you, what does it mean to be in alignment? What's the practice feel like to you?
So I'm very intuitive. I have a gift of being super intuitive, which has helped me in many aspects of my life. But for me, being in alignment is when I ask the divine a question for guidance, for wisdom, or just the right type of energy to help me flow through the ebb and flow of life better. I sit back and I wait for a response. And so often when we ask, we're ready to just jump and do things. But the key thing for me, and I share this with everybody that I come across, is when you ask, wait. Don't be so quick to jump to do something, because when you wait, you will get the divine guidance, whether it's someone you talk to, something on television, Maybe you're listening to the radio. Maybe you're walking around the house, cleaning the house, and you pick up a magazine and something pops out. The wisdom comes to you, but we have to wait to receive the answers to the questions when we ask for guidance. And I think because I'm so intuitive, it kind of happens rapid for me. It was great when I was an emergency room trauma nurse because I would just get that right away. But again, I just say, sit back, wait when you ask, and wait and see what pops up. Don't be so quick to just jump to what you think is the answer, because 9 times out of 10, that's not the answer you're looking for. It might be an answer, but it's not the right answer. So that's what I would have to say with regards to the question.
I like it. Thank you. And again, this is why I like hearing all of you talk about it, because we'll be able to recognize the ways that we hear and feel and see and learn the language really of our soul, which is, we're talking about intuition. We're talking about even something bigger than that, that I know Carolyn understands and knows and teaches about all the time. So for you, Carolyn, how do you know when you're aligned?
So for me, I have this little practice and I call it centering in the 7 directions. And what I first do is imagine a pillar of light that goes from my heart up into what I call my personal star, the divine masculine, down into the center of the earth, the divine feminine. And then I literally center. I put my hands on my heart and I kind of go off center so I can feel that alignment, and then the other way, and feel the alignment, and forward, and feel snapping around almost like a pole through my body, and then back, up, down. And the 7th is your heart. When you are centered in your heart, you feel that intuition that Rochelle was talking about. You can understand the truth, because our hearts are our most intuitive muscle. So by centering around our hearts and allowing that energy to be clear, then we can sense we're in alignment. We can sense the truth. We can sense what's not the truth around us, because I think that's just as important. It's, we need to understand what is maybe there to give us a different perspective, but is not our truth, and we're not to follow it. That's part of our soul's journey, is understanding the no's in life also.
No doubt. I think knowing what you don't want is as good as knowing what you want sometimes. This is the clarity. We need all of the clarity.
Yeah, and we get those beautiful choices to upgrade, to reconfirm to the universe and God, yes, this is what I want. I want more of that, please. I don't want whatever, was being offered to me that doesn't fulfill my soul's purpose and fulfill my heart's desire.
So if you're listening, you've heard these beautiful different frameworks. I'll use Patty's word for a minute, and ways and, strategies for aligning. Carolyn, thanks for that one. I have such a visual on that one of the light pole. I like the light pole, and I like knowing where I am around it. And I'm such an anatomy geek, you guys. My old PT world, it was proprioception. And, you have a way to sense where your body is in space at all times, all parts of you. But what if we talked about this for the heart and soul and alignment, and our proprioceptors for alignment? I love Carolyn's you're giving me the idea. I might have to write a book about this one. Okay. About awesome. About centering around the heart, and what are those proprioceptors for that? Like, that's a cool idea. I love that. Okay, Carrie, add yours to this. How do you know something is aligned for you?
Well, it's very much piggybacking on what Carolyn's talking about, because you know how it is. We can get stuck in our heads trying to figure things out. And, I'm very much a head-oriented person. So it It is not my primary response to go into my heart and go into my body, but this is where I'm learning, especially in the past few years. That's where the wisdom is. That's where the alignment comes from. And it's bypassing the story in my head, bypassing the logic that wants to try and figure out what is sometimes unfigure-outable. So we need way more information than the head has available to it. And the heart has that electromagnetic field that is just wide open when we allow that to take in way more information. And our bodies, for me, I start to lean into something. And if it doesn't feel right, I lean back out of it and I just kind of sit with that. And what is that information? What is my body telling me? Where do I feel that in my body? What's the message there for me? So and sometimes for me, it's a flash of insight that this is the way to go. And it just lines up inside of me. I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my energy centers. And I'm sure everybody on this call has had those moments as well, when you just know. You just know this is lined up for me. So that's me. And I loved hearing everybody's answers.
Me too. I love what you said about there's so much more information available if we could just bust out of our thinking mind for a moment and open up to those other possibilities that are there with the heart energy. For everyone listening, how else can you gather information? What other ways are you sensing and knowing, right? What you just said, you just know, right? So how do you know? This is a journaling prompt, right? Worth reflecting about and writing about and really understanding. You all are teaching people that language of their soul. How cool is that? That is a gift.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the tool that I talk about in my chapter is really about that. It's stepping into an intentional reality field where the information and the energy of your me is already there, and then having a conversation with that energy, that place inside your own consciousness. So it's a way to step out of your head and step into these higher senses of knowing.
Nice, thank you. Okay, I have one more question for all of you, and Rochelle, you're going to start on this one. And it's, I want you to think about something you'd share with our listeners that will help them if they're feeling a little less than goddess-like today. So like an easy entry point into shifting the energy if they're kind of feeling crappy.
Oh, I have so many things, but okay, if I got to
try
hold
one,
it to
try one. Yeah.
if I got to hold it to one, I would say this really works for me. Turn on, well, I don't know if we have radios like we used to back in the day, but turn on the radio or get your favorite CD from back in the day. And I like to say, connect to the time when you were like in high school. So for me, that's the music of the 70s and the 70s. But connect with that music because, when we're in high school, it was some of the best times. When you think back on it now, it's like it was crazy as well, but it was some of the best times and some of the best music. So get that CD out or music for today, whatever floats your boat, but turn on the radio, crank it up as loud as you can. Let the vibrations of that music start flowing and melding through your body. If you want to dance around a little bit, do that. But let that good vibration energy start flowing through your body. And lo and behold, by the time that song is off, you will be in a whole different elevated state. Your mood will be amplified. Your spirit will be up. If you were down in the dumps, you'll be up feeling like, okay, I can take on anything. It's amazing what music does. And it's the whole I'm vibrational energy type of person, but it's the whole vibration that allows the ebb and flow of the processes in your body to meld with the vibration of that music, and it uplifts everything. Now, of course, if you're listening to, Black Sabbath or something like that, even that will do it as well. But it's really the music. The music will take you to another place. And there's a reason why they say music is good for the soul, because it really is good for the soul. So that's what I would suggest.
I love that one. Sound healing is real. The vibrations moving through you, it feels like it's washing you out. So if you're feeling like a little less than goddess-like and you need that washing out from the inside out, right? Just pop on. Best thing I ever did was buy my little speaker that I have in my room where I am a lot of the time in my house. And, you know, you got to love technology, right? Just plop on the music and it's the Bluetooth to the speaker. And you're just like, yes, I love that. Thank you, Rochelle. Carolyn, how about you? What would you offer somebody for that easy energy shift?
So the tool that I talk about is shifting into a voice or an aspect of yourself. And so you literally shift in your chair, you rotate your body and you say who you are. So I sit and I just say, I am a goddess. And if I want to be the battle goddess of compassion, I am the battle goddess of compassion. If I want to be Wonder Woman, if I want to be Athena, if I want to understand what my resistance is to something, I shift into resistance and have a conversation, do some journaling there. So just simply deciding you're going to fully embody it and consciously moving there. You become that energy, you embody that energy, and then you are. And you can stay there as long as you want to. I like to go and then come back to what I call the centered self, so that I'm living in all the different aspects of that goddess energy. And I've got the wisdom with me to take action.
I love that. Does everyone want to do a circle with me? Come on, let's all do it. Like that. I just think that would look really cool on the video. Okay, thank you. You all are amazing. I love the embodied practices, and that's just fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, Carrie, how about you? What would you offer?
A lot of times when we're feeling down, we're beating ourselves up, we're judging ourselves, we're, you know, we didn't meet some kind of high standard that we have for ourselves. And so when I notice myself doing that, or when I notice a client doing that, I just stop and I place my hands over my heart. And I just tell myself, do you want to know the truth about you? The real truth about you? You're perfect the way you are. There's nothing that needs fixing or changing or improving. You're made of love. And you just breathe that in and remind yourself who you truly are, the truth of who you are. And then I find when I'm centered in that way and I listen to my own voice, sometimes I say it out loud if I just need to hear that compassion in my own voice towards myself or towards my client. And just hearing those words, you're perfect just as you are. You're made of love. You are love. You're loved. That just calms me down. So that's what I do.
That's amazing. You're doing it for me. You're probably doing it for everyone listening right now, just because that's a vibration. One of the highest on available is a vibration of love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Patty, you are going to close out our little party today. What would you offer to someone who's just not feeling it?
Yeah. Well, I really recommend that when you're not feeling it, that you look to the goddesses around you, the ones that you know are goddesses, and they see the goddess in you. And you reach out to someone that knows you're a goddess and say, I'm struggling. I'm having a rough time here. And just like what Carrie did for us, made me a little misty, actually. You know, you reach to the women, like the women in this room, or whoever is in your life. You know, I think a lot about elder goddesses, looking to someone just beyond me in life development, somebody that I know is going to have something encouraging to say when all I have to do is ask. All I have to do is say, "Ooh, this happened to me, and this shook my sense of confidence, my sense of self. I doubted my goddessness for a moment there, and can you help me get it back?" And they always do. They always do. And so reach out.
Thank you.
Find the goddesses around.
I don't think there's any better way to wrap up this show today than to talk about your circle, your community. And it takes a bit of a warrior to reach out sometimes. We were taught that we should be able to deal by ourselves. We weren't taught how to reach out well and easily. And it doesn't feel easy to a lot of people. But oh my goodness, the community of stellar human beings who are coming at you with love and compassion that we have created here. I'll just say that these books that we're publishing, there was a much bigger mission. And, you can read a chapter, you can read a book, and you get some great nuggets. You might be sitting there thinking, well, now what? Well, we generously have the now what for you. And we have all these beautiful faces that you're staring at today. They're waiting, y'all. So you can drop down into these show notes and hook up with their websites and take a little exploration, take the next step. They're waiting for you to contact them and continue the conversation, ask your questions, ask for the support. We also have the Wellness Universe Book Club on Facebook where our authors are, because we know this journey isn't easy, and we know the power of the community. And I love, Patty, that you talked about that to wrap us up today. Authors, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thank you. So listeners, please remember, you can join us for our live stream book launch party on December 7th, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to gather with all of our authors of the 25 Tools for Goddesses. We're going to have some cool giveaways. That's going to be on Anna Pereira's Circles of Inspiration page, which I have you hooked up with too down there. And if you're listening after December 7th, well, that means the book is ready on Amazon and you can go grab your copy right now. And maybe you are a wellness practitioner who's ready to share your brave words in one of our upcoming best-selling book collaborations. Well, you can come on over to bravehealer.com. I'm ready to have a conversation with you, answer your questions about that. And lastly, everybody, today, just remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. Mm-hmm. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.